guys, don't you just love your Roland FA-06? When you first turn on your Roland FA-06, it loads a studio set, a song and tones. Now the thing about it is that the presets that it loads, you can't save back to a preset. So if you edit, you're not going to be able to save to the same memory location, and as a result, when you go to try and save, if you forget to save the studio set, your changes will be lost. Don't let that happen to you. So we are going to show you that when you press the right button, you have a choice of saving the studio set, the tone, or the song. And I suggest you get in the habit of saving tones first if you've edited them, then the studio set, and then the song in quick succession to make sure your work is not lost. Now the thing about it is that samples are saved with the song. You can't load samples, load another song and expect the samples still to be there, because every time you load a song it overwrites all the samples that are currently in the machine. Every time you load a studio set, it overwrites all of the tones, loads all of the tones to the studio set, and your tones are gone. So you need to get in the habit, if you're going to be editing sounds in your Roland FA-06, you need to get in the habit of first saving the tone, then immediately after saving the studio set, and then immediately after that saving the song. Shift, you will see here we have tone edit. Now because the concert grand piano is a acoustic instrument, we have this interesting looking screen here which has limited editable options called SNA, Supernatural Acoustic. Then there is the synthesizer, virtual analog synthesizer voices called SNS, Supernatural Synthesizer. Then there is the conventional PCM sounds, PCM engine, the same as is in the guitars, and you would, let's just look at that. Okay, so that's the screen that you see when we try to save on the full grand. Now suppose we went to a voice that wasn't an SNA voice. Let's go to, okay, look here we have PCMS. So suppose we load that, right? Power grand is a PCM tone. How do we know that? It says PCMS here. That's pulse code modulation synthesizer. Okay, so we hold down the shift and we press the tone edit, and now we have our familiar screen. Now a user of my YouTube channel asked me, how do we change the category under which an edited tone is saved? You just go here to the Common tab. There it is, Common tab. And look, tone category. Pop piano. You can save it in whatever category you want, huh? Strings, orchestra, brass, wind, flute. And if it's a synthesizer voice, look, synth lead, brass, pad, bell pad. So all the categories on the instrument are listed here. And then you have even sound effects, drums. You can save your tone in any category. Now it certainly doesn't make sense to save a tone that's not a drum tone in drums. So you want to select a category that makes sense. But there's lots of categories to choose from. All the ones that you see when you press enter are here. And of course no assign is there as well. And all tones that are not assigned will end up in no assign. So all you have to do is to select your category and you're good to go in the tone edit common. Now also, if you were on the SNS voices, let's see if we can find quickly an SNS voice. There's an SNS voice. Okay, enter. So now we have the SNS voices. When we go shift tone edit, we see this, and if we go pro edit, we see that. But the point is, we can still come up to the top and select common, and we once again have tone category. We come down there and we can put it in whatever category we want. Now suppose we go, even if we go to the SNA voices, let's see if we can find an SNA voice. There's an SNA voice. And we go shift edit. Now these are presets that we're editing, but when we save them, they're always going to end up in user memory. So the actual location will change. But here there's always a common. So if we go to the top, we select common, there's always a tone category. So we have full control of putting anything in any category that we might want. So that answers that user question. Now, you see, once you see PRST, that is preset, and this little yellow tick here tells us that we've changed it. Now if we go to save it, it can't save there. It's going to save as a user category, right? It's going to save as a user category, and we can rename it and put it in a user category. But the instant we do that, it's not going to be in the studio set that we had before, because the memory location where the tone is saved is the only thing that's stored in the studio set. Remember, our studio set is also a preset studio set, and it cannot save anything. So when we create a user tone, we also have to store it in a user studio set. Let's go back and look at that, shall we? If we go back here now and we go right, studio set. Once again, we want to write a user studio set, and the current one is a preset. So if we've edited the preset one, we can certainly save it as a user studio set. But what's going to happen? The song is not going to know that we've gone from preset to user, so we then have to turn around and save the song as well, because the song saves the studio set number. So get it in your head that each individual tone has a memory location and a number. Every studio set has a collection of tone numbers which are saved in that, and every studio set number is also saved in a song number, just like the samples are saved with the song. So your correct order of saving should be any modified tones, any loaded samples, BRAM, instantly saved to the studio set. BRAM, instantly after that saved to the song. Right menu has song, tone, and studio set, because those are the things you need to be saving constantly so as not to lose your work, because it's so easy for you to lose your work. You get that little tick there in yellow showing clearly on all screens when your work has changed. Notice that little tick. That little yellow tick there lets you know your work has changed. Your actual parameters have changed. So once you see that, you needed something to save, because if you go and load anything else, it will immediately write out that. Because every time you load a preset, it goes into a single memory which is called the play memory, from which you can edit anything, right? But the instant you load another preset or even a user tone or studio set or song, it overwrites what's in the active memory and all your changes are lost. And the only indication you have that any change has been made is that you're getting that little yellow tick on almost all screens. So I really hope you have learned something here from this, but we need to explain to you a little bit more about the write menu. Whether you're writing a studio set, a tone, or a song, you're going to see a couple of things when you press select, right? You're going to see the current song. Now notice here that the current song is both in the memory and here. So you have to rename it here and select a different location to store it in. An unused location that will say in its song. I have a lot there, look, in its song. Those are with not free locations that have nothing in them. But this is the only screen where you will see song and song. With the others, you will see preset and user. Or if the song, you might see user and user, or you will never see preset in this window because you can't save to a preset. You can only save to user. But you might see user up here because it might be a user tone already loaded. Let me show you that. Alright, so if we go to enter. Okay, here is one of the user voices called Analog 1. Save. See, now I have user up here and user down here. And I have to pick a new one if I've edited it and name it. And so I have to rename this before saving. So when you press rename, you can select the tone name, then say OK, and finally write. So what you're ultimately going to end up with is a series of studio sets, a series of tones. So you have to pick a naming scheme that makes sense. And it makes sense if you're working on a song to call the studio set by the song name, and maybe even the tones by a name that references the song in which those tones are used. Because very often you're going to create unique tones for your specific song. So if you name the tones that will help you to remember which song they are in, it will make sense to do that. And likewise the studio sets. Now for example, I put a lot of hymns into my sequencer to play along with, and when I go to my sequencer and I go try to load a song, I will come down here and say maybe select a hymn number, and then I will press load. Now what I get here now is that I am using a common studio set called Hymn Practice. Right? Notice it's a user studio set. So Hymn Practice is the one I use with my hymns. I'm using that common studio set on all my hymns. Now that studio set stores all of the mixer settings. So my accompaniment and everything, all these levels and knobs that I have set for each channel in the mixer, those are stored with the studio set. Thanks for watching this short video, and we will see you in many more to come. We are hoping to make some modular videos shortly as well.